What's a happening, nerds? This is John nerding out with cards, and doing my next Ozzie Smith weekend video. If you notice, the intro is different for this video, and so shout out to Andy over at Andy's Attic. I definitely consider myself an attic fanatic. He about a week ago he had made up this song and he sent it to me. Uh, and so at some point in time, I'm gonna have the whole song played, but I took a clip of it to develop a new intro just for this series. So thank you, Andy. That was awesome. And then I started my new job today. So it's been a long, long day, and I really wasn't planning on doing this video tonight. But I was laying around and I was watching Jim Faulkner, 5714 collector, and he was showing a bunch of Nolan Ryan items and whatnot, stuff that he had just picked up, stuff that he just wanted to show. And it got me pumped to just, I'm going to go ahead and do this now because I cannot believe what I am about to show you all. I mean, it doesn't roll off the tongue like Nully Grail, but these Ozzie Grails are, it's mind blowing. So there's gonna be a whole lot to unpack here. This might be a longer video because there's just a lot that these cards kind of elicit, thought wise. So first thing, I've showed this before. This is basically the remaining cards on my checklist, and I've been very fortunate that I've been able to cross a lot of these off. But if you notice, there's this color coding here, and that's what I perceive to be the degree of difficulty to acquiring some of these new Ozzie Smith cards that I don't have anyway. And that's based off of just research that I've done, based off of feedback from a lot of guys that are in that Ozzie Smith Facebook group. And what I'll tell you right now is I shared these cards on that group, and the feedback that I had received from people that I consider to be prolific Ozzie Smith Ozzie Smith collectors um, kind of took me aback. And so all these cards I'm going to show you right now, the color that they were on this list or are on this list are red. And the absolute deal that I got on these cards just blows my mind. I'm not going to discuss pricing. The seller asked me not to. And so, first thing I'm going to start off with, and I'll get around to showing cards, of course, because I am very excited to do that. But one of those thoughts that these cards elicit is a common topic here on the YouTube is, you know, what are we going to do with our cards, planning wise, and things like that in the events of, right? I know there's, like I said, that's reoccurring. There's been some commentary on it about how it's like it's depressing and morbid, whatever, but it is reoccurring. And what I can tell you is why am I talking about this now is that is how I acquired these cards. There there was a guy on the Ozzie Smith Facebook group. Again, I consider to be a prolific collector. Uh, a good while back, it was this past summer, began selling off his collection and or was open to it. I know he had communicated that his health was deteriorating, but I thought that he was selling these cards, just because of being fiscally responsible, medical bills, those kind of things. Well, then you fast forward up into now. From what I understand, he had passed away. Very unfortunate. I remember on that group because he had a handful of cards left on his checklist, which was I believe to be more expansive than mine, and so he was pushing hard for a lot of these cards that he was missing, and he actually attained his goal. Uh, he achieved 100% completion percentage of his checklist, which is mind blowing when you consider a lot of these cards that Ozzie Smith does have. And so, uh, over the course, I would say the last couple of years, there had been some messaging between he and I back and forth. And what I gather is, um, upon his passing, I guess his son had gained access to like his social media accounts and whatnot, had seen that he and I had messaged over the course of time before. One of the things that I had messaged him was the list of cards that I had remaining. That was probably like a year and a half, 2 years ago. And so then he reached out to me, willing to sell me some cards from his dad's collection from my list. And what what I'll tell you is, he worked with me on the pricing. I would That's how I'm going to describe it on this video. But one of the things that he communicated to me was that he wanted these cards to go to another collector, and so that's quite flattering. So with that being said, I'm gonna start showing some cards. Um, and I have to start off with this card. And so this is an Ozzie Smith restaurant card from 1989, and I have another copy of this, but the copy I have, I should have got it out, but this area right here is blank. And so this one right here is what I put on my checklist is Ozzie Smith restaurant card with ad. Here's the back, because Ozzie Smith used to have a restaurant in this area for many years. And so why am I showing this card first? Is uh, you know a few years ago when I had developed my checklist, it was it was pretty substantial. But then I got invited to that Facebook group that I've referenced many times and I've talked about already on this video. Is I did not know about these restaurant cards, and it was that guy who educated me on these cards. Uh, this was an edition that he had gotten after I got onto that Facebook group, and I had saved searches and whatnot for this. I had the other one, but I have this card basically from him, and I only know of its existence because of him. So that's pretty wild. I don't think that his son watches this channel. I don't even think his dad watched this channel. But when I look at my Ozzie Smith collection, and I go through that binder every week. When I see these cards, I will definitely think of him. Um, and just to get into like how mind blowing these are, I'm gonna get into some other ones. Like, I don't know anything about this, but I all I know is everything that I've learned and heard about is these are very, very difficult to find, but I don't know any information on them. And this happens to be a 1996 Chris Martin Enterprises Pro Mag. Yes, this is a magnet. I'm I do collect these, but the only thing I could figure out is the manufacturer manufactured these for 3 years, 94 through 96. And for whatever reason, these are very, very hard to find. Um, and there's not much information on these beyond what I've already told you, at least what I could find. But I do have it now, and that's pretty amazing. This one, I talked. If you'd watched the video where Russ from Collecting Nolan was on my channel, this was a card that came up. And how weird is it to say that I have an Ozzie Smith Venny? But back in 1990, there were these, the name has escaped me, the full name, but these 1990 Venezuelan stickers and blank back, and this is a kind of card that is so hard to find, can be so expensive. You just don't even care about the condition. If you're able to get one, you just get one, right? But this is this is mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing. And so you can quickly see that these Ozzie Grails, and but now I'm going to get into some cards that you can see why these were so hard to find. Um, and I'll just kind of go, oldest and newest, but uh, 1993 I used collection, and this is the jumbo. So you got your more standard card size here, and then you got this. But if you notice here, it's out of 10,000. That's how many copies of this were made. And there is another variant of this that is the normal size. And then you got this jumbo size or super. And I've had a safe search for this for a few years now. Um, and just have never been able to find it. But it's if you watch guys like High Pop Professor and whatnot, or other '90s collectors, they talk about a card that's serial numbered to 10,000. That sounds like a lot because in this era where there's such super artificial scarcity, the one on ones, 5, 10, 25, so forth and so on, 10,000 sounds like a lot. And then you factor in too the size of this card. How many people, how many kids, or whatever you want to, however you want to, look at it, was keeping a jumbo size card like this? How much product isn't even open? Because you can still find unopened product all over the place, right? And so, how many of these are actually in circulation? And like many people, I did not think that this would be that hard to find. And I started asking around about it, and people are like, "Yeah, they're quite difficult to get." Um, and so, I think that's just a part of the '90s cards. I mean, think about it. That was 30 some odd years ago. So it's kind of weird to think about these cards that way, how actually old they are, but and then the image on this is just phenomenal. I mean, this is the kind of card that, if you get to meet Ozzie Smith, maybe you want him to sign it because just the imagery. And Ayus is a world famous photographer, and so that's just amazing, absolutely amazing. Um, Now this next card, or these next three cards, I'm going to spit some data at you. uh, you know, a thought process I learned of from watching Brian over at High Pop Professor. So here is a 1995 card from Upper Deck, and it's a special edition. And this is a variant of the base special edition or whatever, or silver, whatever you want to call it. And this is the gold. And so with this came in one in every 35 packs. All right. Well, there was like 40 cards in this set, this special edition, and at $2 a pack, so, or basically the pack odds of this is, unless you just happen to hit it on the first pack, but a potential of 4,725 packs to pull this one card, the one you want, right? And at $2 a pack is what it was, what they retailed for at that time. It would be approximately $9,450 to pull this card. And why am I talking about these numbers? Another hobby topic, so to speak, and is pulling, buying wax, buying packs, and the you know do you do that, chasing the hits or chasing the cards that you want, whatever the case may be. And for me, for a long time, I've been a singles collector. I have been like that since the '90s, which is a part of the reason why I did not know about a lot of these cards. I wasn't out buying packs. I was just looking for the Ozzie Smith cards, so I was oblivious to a lot of these cards. But I can tell you right now that card did not cost me $9,450. You know, so but that's the trade off, right? You know, yeah, there's entertainment value to opening packs and whatnot, but if I open a pack and don't get the cards I want, it, it's it's not enjoyable to me. So that's what just why I don't do it. I would rather chase the cards that I do want. Um, and so this data that I'm telling you right now, nothing new, but at the same time, it's just kind of communicating that from my perspective, right? And now this next card gets weird because the more I learned about it, um, it's just like, damn, you know. But in 1996, Upper Deck Diamond Destiny, and you can see this like this acetate right here. And there's three versions of this card. There's the bronze or base card. There's the silver, and then this is the gold. And I have the other two, so this completes that rainbow, so to speak, for me. But here's where this card gets weird. All right, and I'll show the back. But these cards were exclusive to Walmart packs. So of all the retailers that were selling these cards at the time, it was a Walmart exclusive, which is nothing new, and is a practice that continues on today. But this, I forget how many cards were in the set. I didn't write that down, but it would take approximately 5,720 packs at $2 a pack. Um, it would be $11,440 potentially to just get this one card. Just reinforcing the earlier point. And then this card, I might break out the binder here in a second, just to show like how awesome this is. But 1996 Collector's Choice, and for many people are familiar with the Collector's Choice cards of this time. There was, you know, the base cards, the silver signatures, and then the gold signatures. And Series 1 had 365 cards. Series 2 had 365 cards. This was particularly Series 2. Ozzie Smith had several cards in the set, so therefore I'm chasing those parallels variants for several cards. And these gold ones are actually quite difficult to get. And this one's a real pain in the ass because it's a checklist. So if you get super collectors, like if somebody, I even look at the names on the back here, but if their guy, his name is on the back of this card, they're going to be chasing it too, even though it's an Ozzie Smith card. For me, it's not that for them. It's their guy on the back. I don't collect checklists like that, but some people do. So anyway, this card and Collector's Choice was a bottom of the barrel product at the time. You know, that was the cheaper end of the spectrum. But you have right here, so this came in one in every 36 packs at $1.29 a pack. You could potentially have to open 13,149 or 140 packs for a potential cost of $16,950. Insane. And what's cool about this is it does celebrate Ozzie Smith breaking Luis Aparicio's assist record in '95. So there's not a lot of cards of that of Ozzie, but absolutely amazing stuff. And like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and get this binder because, like I said, there's a whole lot to unpack here. And what blows my mind, and what I've talked about on my channel before, but the, part of the satisfaction of binder collecting and things like that is when you acquire new cards, just the just the really cool stuff that you encounter. But here, let me get to the page here. So again, one of the things that I do is you know I got these placeholders, so then that way when I do pick up new cards, what I can do is pull it out of here and then put it in that spot. Yeah, let me show you Collector's Choice from 1996. Holy cow! But it starts here. So again, base, silver, and then that, right? But check out this page. Again, is there anything more satisfying than completing a page? And then the Collector's Choice goes on to the next page. So you can see like the pack odds for that, was what it was, right? A potential of, to reiterate, $16,950 for a gold signature card, and Ozzy has one, two, three, four, five, right? Absolutely insane to try to get all of those, and so it's just, it blows my mind that I have these, you know. Um, so those are all the Ozzie Smith cards I got in. Those seven cards. It's I cannot believe it. You know, I mean, that would have been, I would be over the moon if I got those over the course of, like, let's say 3 or 4 years, and to get them all at one time, it's just kind of hard for me to comprehend. Um, but now that kind of leads me to another thing, right? We're all about setting goals and things like that. I've said several times on my channel is, I don't know if, will the next Ozzie Smith card be the last Ozzie Smith card that I pick up? And I say that, but when I started my channel, and I should have looked this up, I think I had like 871 Ozzie Smith cards, and this brings me up to 893. Because I did a video with Tony Talks Cards that hasn't aired yet, and on that video I said 892. But the thing is, when I bought those cards, I thought six were coming in, and he added another one on top of it all, and that was actually that Collector's Choice checklist. So, sorry, Tony, I didn't mean to like lie or anything, but that brings you up to 893. So over the course of this last almost year, we're basically 11 months into my channel. I've acquired over 20 Ozzie Smith cards, and so that does make it kind of feel like I'm being a drama queen about, like, oh, this might be the last one I get or something like that, just because of, again, the degree of difficulty of acquiring these cards. Um, but I still want to stay humble and realistic, right? But I remember when I created this checklist, and I was around like 840, 850 cards or something like that. I did not think that 900 was realistic. This has me thinking maybe it is. Um, so I'm not saying for like this calendar year, certainly. Um, but 900 Ozzie Smith cards is a threshold for my checklist, which is a 913 card checklist, is definitely something that I want to achieve at some point in time. Whether that's this year, next year, 5 years from now, whatever the case may be. But what I can definitely tell you is my collection as it stands far exceeds anything that I could have ever imagined. And I cannot believe the cards that um, I got in. Makes me think about a lot, very grateful, excited. Um, there's the human aspect of it all, you know, and you know, I'm over here happy about Ozzie Smith cards while he's grieving the death of his father. So it's um, makes I don't even know a good way to describe it right now. So, but you know, I mean, it's just something to think about. But again, I am flattered that he did think of me. Was willing to sell them to me for what he did. Um, you know, but anyway, you know, this is how I'm nerding out. You know, showing y'all a bunch of Ozzie Grails cards that I just never thought I would own. But I hope y'all enjoyed that, and you know, thanks for nerding out with me.